by Gray. Sykes took a fall. Collier wins it. 12 and
Reese with Collier guarding her, and Reese barrels her way.
The 2025 WNBA season hasn't just been about wins, losses, and box scores, it's been about identity. And few matchups have captured this cultural tension more vividly than Angel Reese versus Napheesa Collier. On paper, this might seem like a straightforward battle between two elite forwards. One a rising star still forging her legacy, the other a steady MVP contender already etched into the league's upper tier. But in reality, this rivalry is something deeper. It's generational, it's emotional, and it's playing out in a league undergoing a fundamental transformation, not just in the quality of play but in the tone of its fandom. Longtime WNBA fans have always centered the league around values of inclusion, community, and respect. But with an explosion in mainstream attention, fueled by college stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese entering the league, the fanbase has grown more polarized. What used to be a tightly knit circle has opened up into something louder, more chaotic, and at times more tribal. Fandom has become more performative, and rivalries that once simmered now boil in public. Sometimes through social media spats, sometimes through cold, unfiltered stare-downs at half-court. That's the atmosphere surrounding the Sky vs. Lynx rivalry, and more specifically Reese vs. Collier. Their dynamic is not born out of animosity, quite the opposite. There's mutual respect. Collier, the Minnesota veteran and team captain, has spoken highly of Reese's tenacity and future stardom. Reese, in turn, acknowledges Collier as a mentor of sorts, a player she models herself against. And yet, when the ball tips, the temperature changes. This isn't just friendly competition. It's personal. Reese has said it herself, games against Collier are about more than winning, they're a test. Of patience, of progress, of pride. And when she loses, as she did in the second of two recent matchups against the Lynx, the frustration shows. Not in the form of disrespect but in grit. In a refusal to be outplayed. These matchups have been physical. Fouls are harder. Screens are sharper. Every possession feels like a statement. Whether it's Collier knocking down a high-post jumper with Reese contesting, or Reese crashing the glass over two defenders to keep her double-double streak alive, there's an edge to every play. And fans have noticed. Social media doesn't just cover these games, it inflames them. Reese's 5-word post, "Not Team P is stacked," wasn't just about all-star pride. It was a subtle jab, a confident flex, a message to her haters and a nod to her rivals. Within minutes, her mentions were flooded with everything from admiration to accusation. People chose sides. Team Reese, Team Collier, Team Chaos. That's where we are in the WNBA right now, a league being pulled in multiple directions. Old guard versus new wave. Humble quiet versus unapologetic boldness. And somewhere in the middle stand Angel Reese and Napheesa Collier, two players who both honor the game, just in different ways. Their rivalry isn't one of enemies. It's one of identity. It's about what it means to grow, to compete, and to evolve, not just as players but as pillars of a league redefining itself in real time. This is more than basketball. This is what happens when the court becomes a stage and every dribble, every foul, every quote becomes a spark. When it comes to Angel Reese and Napheesa Collier, the numbers do more than tell a story, they reflect a tug-of-war between rising dominance and established excellence. In a season where both the Chicago Sky and the Minnesota Lynx are fighting for playoff leverage, these two forwards have emerged as the emotional and statistical cores of their franchises. Let's start with Angel Reese. In just her second season, she's averaging 13.3 points, 12.8 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. Those aren't just good numbers for a sophomore, they're historic. Her double-double streak, which now stands at 9 straight games, is part of a broader trend. She's building on last season's record-setting run of 15 consecutive double-doubles, and she's doing it against some of the league's top defenses. Against the Lynx, the current #1 seed, she logged 22 points and 10 rebounds in one loss, and followed that up with 19 points, 11 boards, and 4 assists in a win. These aren't empty stats. They're results earned against elite competition. On the other side is Napheesa Collier, who has quietly, and consistently, made her case for 2025 WNBA MVP. The Lynx forward is averaging 21.7 points, 9.1 rebounds, 3.4 assists, and 2.2 steals per game. Numbers that place her firmly in the top 5 of nearly every advanced metric. But Collier's dominance isn't just about stat sheets, it's about impact. When Minnesota lost back-to-back games for the first time this season, it was Collier who responded with a statement game, dropping 29 points in a revenge win over the Sky. Her ability to shift the tone of a matchup, to control the pace, to force switches, to step out and defend perimeter players when needed, makes her one of the most versatile and reliable stars in the league. What's striking is how different their styles are, despite playing the same position. Reese is pure energy. She lives on the offensive glass, constantly hunting second-chance points and using her strength and quickness to power through contact. Her mid-range shot is still developing, but her motor never stops, and that alone gives her an edge in transition and hustle stats. Collier, in contrast, is the ultimate technician. She's not going to beat you with brute force, she'll beat you with angles, footwork, and balance. Her post-up game is clinical. Her defense is cerebral. She reads plays before they unfold, and her ability to rotate and contest without fouling is a masterclass in timing. So when these two collide on the court, it's a clash of philosophies. Reese forces the action. Collier redirects it. Reese plays with a chip. Collier plays with composure. And yet, both are ruthlessly competitive, never satisfied, always chasing the next play. Statistically, their head-to-head matchups reflect this tension. In 2 recent games, Reese averaged 20.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, 3 assists. Collier averaged 24.5 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals. The margins are thin. The battles are fierce. And perhaps most importantly, each is bringing out the best in the other. Reese has said it openly, she wants to be measured against players like Collier. That's how she knows she's growing. And Collier, by drafting Reese to her all-star team, has made it clear, she respects what Reese brings to the floor, not just as a stat producer, but as a competitor who refuses to back down. These numbers are more than digits, they're markers of a story still unfolding. One in which experience meets ambition and fire meets finesse. The stats don't just compare the players, they predict what's coming next. And if the past 2 matchups are any indication, what's coming next could be the most exciting chapter yet. Before the lights, the fouls, and the crowd noise of the 2025 WNBA season, before Angel Reese and Napheesa Collier became headline rivals on league leaderboards, they were grinding side by side, not in a WNBA gym, but on a court in Miami, under the umbrella of something new, something revolutionary, Unrivaled. Co-founded by Collier and Brianna Stewart in 2023, Unrivaled is more than just an off-season training league. It's a statement about equity, autonomy, and building infrastructure for women's basketball in the United States. For years, WNBA stars had been forced overseas to develop their game and earn a living during the off-season. Unrivaled changed that, offering elite players a domestic alternative, 3-on-3 competition, equity stakes in the league, and the kind of high-level reps that elevate confidence and skill. And among the first rising stars to buy into that vision? Angel Reese. While the Unrivaled brand might have been built by veterans, its impact has been most visible in players like Reese, a young, relentless forward still refining her game. In the months leading up to the 2025 season, Reese trained under the watchful eyes of Collier and her performance coach, Alex Bizzell. Together they worked on decision-making, footwork, patience, the kind of intangible elements that don't always show up in highlight reels but change how you perform when it matters most. She worked with me all off-season. Her and Alex worked with me all off-season on my game, Reese said after a breakout performance against Minnesota. Kudos to them because they helped me a lot, staying poised, staying patient. That's why I trust in my work. There's something raw and real about that kind of acknowledgement. Reese isn't hiding where her growth came from. She's not trying to gloss over the mentorship she received. But what makes this even more compelling is how that same mentorship has now become her measuring stick. It's one thing to train with Collier. It's another thing to beat her. And that's where the emotional intensity in this matchup begins to take root. Every time Reese lines up opposite Collier, boxing her out for a rebound, rotating to contest a post entry, or battling her for space at the elbow, she's competing against a version of herself that Collier helped shape. It's mentorship turned rivalry. A full circle test of how far she's come. And that competitive drive cuts both ways. Collier may be the mentor, but she's also a competitor. And Reese's evolution means that Collier now has to face a better, hungrier version of a player she once helped coach. The irony isn't lost on fans. You have a league co-founder, Collier, who gave her off-season to building something larger than herself. And now she's being challenged by one of her own products. Reese isn't just a participant in Unrivaled, she's a living example of what the league was meant to create. Empowered, high IQ, physically prepared athletes who are ready to lead the next generation. This connection also reframes the tension between the two players. It's not bitterness. It's not beef. It's competitive respect, amplified by the fact that both women believe in the same mission. They just happen to be chasing it on opposite sides of the scoreboard. And that's what makes their matchup so electric. Every collision in the paint? A clash of past and present. Every possession? A reminder that shared progress doesn't mean shared success. When Reese beats Collier to the glass or hits a mid-range shot she couldn't land last year, she's not just scoring, she's proving that the work worked. And when Collier answers with a 25-point night and a win, she's reminding everyone, including Reese, that she's still the bar. Unrivaled gave them the space to grow. The WNBA gives them the stage to compete. And as this rivalry deepens, one thing is clear. The line between teacher and challenger has never been thinner. What sets the Angel Reese vs. Napheesa Collier rivalry apart from the typical star vs. star storyline isn't just talent or stat lines. It's psychology. It's the emotional undercurrent behind every possession, every quote, and every all-star nod. This isn't a rivalry built on animosity, it's a mental duel rooted in admiration, pride, and an unwavering need to prove something, both to each other and to themselves. Let's start with Napheesa Collier, the established star. She's a leader in Minnesota, an MVP candidate, and co-founder of an off-season league that has reshaped the WNBA's developmental landscape. She's also calm, methodical. She doesn't chirp. She doesn't stare down opponents. She plays like someone who knows exactly how good she is and doesn't need to advertise it. But that's not to say she's passive. She knows what people say about Angel Reese, how she's loud, unapologetic, disruptive, both on and off the court. She also knows that the spotlight is shifting, and that every matchup with Reese brings national attention. And yet, time and again, Collier has taken the high road. When asked about Reese, she offers praise. When given the chance to ignore her, she instead drafted her to Team Fee for the All-Star game. That kind of diplomacy isn't lost on Reese, but she interprets it through a different lens. For her, playing against Collier is about one thing: measuring up. The words Collier says don't matter as much as the scoreboard does. Because Reese is still writing her story, and Collier, for all her grace, is a checkpoint along the way. A reminder that if you want to be elite, you have to go through elite. That's why Reese, despite expressing gratitude for Collier's mentorship, has been candid about the stakes of their matchups. It's personal, she said, not because of beef but because of standards. Reese doesn't want Collier to take it easy on her because they share off-season history. She wants to earn every bucket, every board, every second of respect, not just from Collier but from the league. There's something deeply human in that. Reese, loud, confident, and intensely competitive, is also vulnerable in her own way. Her pride comes from knowing what she's had to build. She's not just battling Collier, she's battling the perception that she's all energy and no polish. That she's marketable but not elite. That she's a product of hype, not hard work. But Collier knows better. She's seen the work firsthand. She's helped shape it, which adds an emotional complexity to their dynamic. Every time Collier clamps down on Reese in the post, she's not just defending the rim, she's testing the growth she helped nurture. And every time Reese snatches a rebound over Collier, she's not just extending her streak, she's proving that she belongs in the same conversation. And yet, despite the competition, there's no sign of this turning ugly. They're not throwing elbows. They're not calling each other out. They're elevating each other. That's why this rivalry resonates with fans, because it reflects something more layered than hate or drama. It's about how complicated growth can be. It's about how two women can compete like enemies and respect like teammates, sometimes all in the same quarter. Off the court, Collier is texting Reese advice. On the court, she's bodying her in the paint. Off the court, Reese is giving credit where it's due. On the court, she's swatting Collier's shot into the stands and letting her hear about it. It's not hypocrisy. It's the emotional DNA of elite athletes who know that respect doesn't come from talking about each other, it comes from going at each other. And when it's done right like it is here, the whole league is better for it. This isn't just a battle of stats or highlight reels. It's a battle of mindsets. And in that space between admiration and aggression, Reese and Collier are building a rivalry that might just define this era of the WNBA. There's a certain irony, maybe even poetry, in seeing Angel Reese and Napheesa Collier not on opposite ends of the floor, but on the same team, wearing the same All-Star jersey under the same banner, Team Fee. This year's All-Star game, set for July 19th in Indianapolis, brings together the league's most electrifying names, but no duo carries as much nuanced tension and intrigue as this one. One is the captain, the founder, the MVP candidate. The other is the rising star, the disruptor, the lightning rod of a new era. And yet, despite their layered rivalry, Napheesa Collier chose Angel Reese for her team. Reese's 5-word post following the roster reveal, "Not Team P is stacked," quickly went viral. Some read it as simple excitement. Others saw it as a statement. And as always with Reese, it was likely both. From a basketball standpoint, Collier's choice makes perfect sense. Reese is putting up historic rebounding numbers, dominating the glass like a veteran, and bringing an edge that any All-Star team would want on its bench. But from a narrative standpoint, it's something more. Collier didn't just accept Reese into her orbit, she recruited her. On purpose. Publicly. Now these two, so used to guarding each other, studying each other, challenging each other, will share possessions, set screens for each other, and chase a common goal, winning the All-Star game. But make no mistake, this is no come-by a moment. This is an opportunity to study one another even more closely. In practice. On the bench. In the huddle. Reese will see how Collier leads a group of veterans. Collier will observe how Reese energizes a team, even in an exhibition setting. And when the lights go on in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, we'll see a different kind of chemistry, not born of friendship but of fierce mutual evaluation. That's what makes this team dynamic so fascinating. This isn't two best friends playing together for fun. It's two competitors who know exactly what the other represents. For Reese, Collier is the benchmark, someone who's not just successful but respected at every level of the league. For Collier, Reese is the barometer, a player whose rapid improvement means she's coming and fast. This alignment also sets up subtle undercurrents of power and perception. Reese has been a magnet for attention, both good and bad. She's outspoken. She plays with emotion. And she's reshaping the narrative of what a modern WNBA star can be. Collier, more reserved but equally powerful, represents a steadier model, efficient, grounded, and elite without noise. But both approaches work. And both are essential to where the WNBA is headed. That's why this all-star pairing isn't just a side note, it's a statement. It shows that the league isn't divided between old and new, loud and quiet, finesse and fire. It's evolving to hold space for all of it. For players like Reese and Collier to not only coexist, but collaborate. Of course, don't be surprised if we see a few sly moments between them during the game. A look exchanged after a big defensive stop, a shared laugh after a missed shot, maybe even an assist from Reese to Collier in transition. Those are the subtle signs that underneath the rivalry lies a deep, mutual recognition. You push me to be better. And when the All-Star weekend wraps and the second half of the season begins, make no mistake, this alignment will dissolve back into competition. Collier will return to leading the Lynx. Reese will go back to anchoring the sky. And their next matchup will have even more electricity behind it, because now they'll know even more about how the other moves, thinks, and leads. So is this All-Star link a moment of unity? Or a prelude to the next showdown? The answer in true Reese Collier fashion is both. And that's the beauty of it. Angel Reese and Napheesa Collier aren't just playing against each other, they're shaping each other. Through mentorship, through matchups, through off-season grind and all-star moments, they're pushing the limits of what this league can be. Reese, with her relentless energy and hunger to prove she belongs. Collier, with her elite consistency and quiet dominance. One rising, one reigning, both essential. Their rivalry isn't about bad blood, it's about high standards. And as the WNBA continues to grow, gain attention, and redefine what greatness looks like, matchups like this aren't just highlights, they're history in motion. So whether you're Team Reese or Team Collier, or just Team Women's Basketball, you're witnessing something special. Like this video if you believe rivalries make the game better. Drop a comment. Who's winning this mental chess match? And don't forget to subscribe to Her Hoops for daily deep dives, analysis, and stories that go beyond the box score. We'll see you in the next one. Her Hoops, where the game meets the story.